talking today about cast iron. I love cooking in cast iron. It gives a nice even heat, it's non-stick. And I've got several pieces of modern cast iron, newish cast iron, but what I love best is antique cast iron. Older cast iron has a smooth finish. Due to manufacturing processes and efficiencies, most new cast iron doesn't have that, which gives it less of a non-stick aspect, makes it harder to clean up and such. So a couple of days ago, our pastor's wife called me on the phone and said she had found a piece of cast iron at an antique store for $20. It's a Dutch oven is what it is, but it doesn't have the right lid with it. But it was $20 and she wanted to know if I wanted it. Ordinarily I would have asked what kind it was, about whether it was a smooth or pebbled finish. But for 20 bucks I figured I couldn't go wrong, and I actually lucked out. What this is a Century cookware made by Birmingham Range and Stove, I believe it is. It's a number 7, 10 1/4 inch Dutch oven, but it doesn't come with a Dutch oven top. It came with a glass top, and I don't believe this is the original top. I don't think so. Nothing I can find says that it is. But what we're going to be doing today, I could blabber on about cast iron. What we're going to be doing today is showing you how to clean this up and how to re-season it. I don't know if you can see this, but this pot, it's in pretty good shape, but it has pretty much no seasoning on it. Got a little bit of surface oxidation on it, but not too bad. So let me show you what I do to clean and season cast iron. Now, if this had seasoning on it, old seasoning that was cracked or chipped or starting to wear away, I would take that seasoning off first. And the way I would do that is to take and spray this down, coat it real liberally with some sort of lye solution. I typically use oven cleaner, but you want to make sure that it's oven cleaner that's lye based. And then I'll put it in a plastic bag for 24 hours. And scrub it off with something like steel wool or something like that. One word of caution on that, lye is extremely caustic, so you want to wear rubber gloves and you want to make sure you don't get it on anything that you don't want ruined. I've got a nice, pretty fresh scar on my forearm right now from not being careful enough with lye. It will basically turn your skin into jelly. Not to gross anyone out, but be careful with it. And you might have to do that a few times, but the seasoning will come off. And at that point, you're basically just starting with a fresh pan like I am here. You do want to get all of this oxidation off. You don't want any of that under the seasoning, or your seasoning won't stick, or it'll come off as you go, over time. Now that we've got the pan clean, we want to dry it out before we go much further. And you don't want to let it air dry, because if you let it air dry, that rust will come back on it almost instantly. So you want to put it over a fire, dry it off a little bit first, but let that fire dry it out. I should probably also point out that if you ask 10 different cast iron people how they clean and season their cast iron, you'll get 10 different answers. So this is by no means the only way, it's just the way I do it. And now that we've got that cleaned up, I'm going to put my oven on 250. And I'm going to put my piece in the oven at 250. For about 20 minutes. What this will do is it'll open the pores of the metal and allow it to absorb in some of the vegetable oil we're going to be putting on it in a moment. Okay, well, this is going to be an instance of do what I say, not do what I do. I've already started this, and the pot is already warmed up. And I realized that I have neither parchment paper, which is what I would prefer to use, nor aluminum foil, which is an acceptable substitute. Ordinarily, I would put that inside on the oven rack inside to catch any drips. Since we don't have any, we're not going to do that, and we're going to clean up the drips later. Again, not a good practice, but I'm not stopping at this point just because I don't have parchment paper and I'm slightly irritated. So we're going to go ahead. What I'm doing now is rubbing this down with vegetable oil, pure vegetable oil. I'm sorry, not vegetable oil, vegetable shortening. You can use different types of fats. I prefer vegetable shortening. It's what I've had the most success with. I've used vegetable oil before, but really vegetable shortening is what I prefer. So you're giving it a good liberal coat, and you'll have to do this a few times. One coat of vegetable shortening isn't going to give you the thicker coating that you're looking for here. So don't be worried when you're spreading this on thinking that's not going to get it. It will. It just takes a few times. So we've turned the oven, again, we've turned the oven up to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm not going to be able to, also, I've had very unreliable success in trying to do the whole pot at once. For example, if I try to do the top and the bottom here, what's going to happen is I'm going to get drips that collect on the bottom, big drips that are going to cause me problems later. So I just do the top, then do the bottom, then do the top, then do the bottom, and kind of do it that way. Okay, so we're ready to go in the oven now. And I'll leave that in there for about an hour. Right now we've got, I forget if it's 4 or 5 coats of vegetable shortening, basically baked on and into the cast iron. One thing I like to do, and you'll hear people say specifically not to do this, is that before the last coat that I'm going to put on, I like to wash it down and get all of the grease off of it. Now, people will tell you not to wash cast iron with soap. What they're really saying is don't scrub off all of the seasoning with soap. A light wash isn't going to hurt anything. And what it'll do is it will get non-seasoned shortening off of it and allow the shortening that you have on there to fully harden and cure. Once we've washed this off and rinsed it off, we'll dry it the way you dry cast iron. Which is to dry it off with a paper towel or a rag, dish towel, whatever. And then put it on a burner until all of the water has evaporated off of it. You got to get it really dry because if not it'll rust. One thing I forgot to mention previously, after you've put them in the oven, after they've been in there for an hour, hour and 20 minutes, somewhere in there, turn the heat off and let them cool down in the oven slowly until they reach room temperature. Don't take them out and let them cool. This will increase the adhesion, give you a better finish. So after about 7 applications, this is where we are. You remember that the bare metal that we were at previously, where are we at here? So this is where we end up. So a pretty good finish. Again, that's 7 applications. As far as care, from that point on, if you care for them properly, that will continue to get thicker, it will continue to get blacker, it will continue to even get more non-stick. The key is not to not wash them. I mean, typically when I'm doing them, I scrub them out with some water and dry them on the stove over flame. Don't leave them on there so long that that you start to burn that seasoning. But make sure that they're really, really dry, that there's no moisture left on them. If there's a lot of stuck-on stuff, if you need to, you can use soap. But again, the key to it is not that whether you use soap or not, but that you put them over the fire and let them dry out completely. Apologize for the background noise. Let me take you over and show you what that's all about. So my wife and children were out and about today, and as only my wife can, they found these. 2 little baby chipmunks that had been abandoned and were not doing well, and frankly still aren't doing particularly well. But of course, she had to bring them home and feed them, and I'm sure that they will probably be part of our lives for 6 to 8 weeks now. So bless their good and charitable hearts. I'm now babysitting rats. So thanks for checking us out today. I hope you learned something. I hope you got something out of it, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to learn more about this type of thing and our walk towards self-sufficiency, please check us out at selfsufficientpath.com. And if you got something out of this video, please be sure and click the like button below. It really helps us out. So thanks, and see you next time.